Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of Saturday Morning Cartooning. I'm your instructor, Brandon. Thank you so much for everyone who sent some nice words about the first episode. I had a lot of fun doing it. I hope you had a lot of fun drawing. Before we get started with today's lesson, I just want to show some of the work that was sent to me from last week, some of our finished Fred Flintstones. So take a look at some of these. All right, good job, everybody. Let's get started with today's lesson. And in fact, today's character is going to be something that I grew up with, and I'm sure a lot of your moms and dads did too, and that is the Smurfs. The Smurfs were an animated 1980s Saturday morning cartoon show, but it was actually created a lot earlier by Peyo. Peyo was a Belgian comic book artist who was very famous for his first round of characters, whose names were Johan and Peewit. And in Johan and Peewit, the Smurfs were actually supporting characters, but they became so popular that they became their own characters later on. This is actually what the original Smurfs looked like, a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. In Belgium, they weren't called Smurfs, they were actually called Schtroumpfs. And the Smurfs were described as 3 apples high, so they're very, very small, and they live in little villages of mushroom houses, and they're known as archetype characters. And an archetype character is a character that's named based on their personality. For example, we have Hefty Smurf, we have Vanity Smurf, Brainy Smurf, Smurfette, and of course everyone's favorite, Papa Smurf. And their main villain was usually Gargamel, who's always trying to capture the Smurfs, and his cat Azrael. We remember these guys. This is William, Hannah, and Joseph Barbera. In the 1980s, they took Peyo's Smurfs and they made them into a very popular Saturday morning cartoon show. It ran for a very, very long time, and it was a merchandising phenomenon. Almost everybody had at least one little Smurf figure. I think I had several hundred Smurf figures. Usually we would eat on a Saturday morning Smurf Berry Crunch. And then if we were lucky, our moms and dads would take us to the ice capades where the Smurfs usually had a little show. Okay, we're going to start drawing Papa Smurf now. Couple of things before you begin. Make sure you have plenty of paper. Make sure you have a pencil that you like with a good eraser. You're going to need your permanent marker, either the fine point, or if you're drawing a little bit smaller, the ultra fine point. Just a reminder, with the permanent marker, make sure that you be careful around your furniture, carpet, fabrics, clothes, or even your skin. It will not come out of fabric, and it's going to be a hard time washing it off, so just be careful with these markers. All right, and if you're drawing something for the first time, a reference photo is always good. So here's one that I've already drawn, and let's get started. Now remember, look at a character and break it down into its basic shapes. We can see here that his head is sort of like a squashed oval shape. Of course, this Smurf hat. And then the body is just a basic cartoon body. In fact, if you're in my classes, you'll know that this is a balloony style body. I call it a balloony body because the limbs, they look like there's no bones in them. All right, the opposite of a balloony body would be an articulated body. That's a body that has articulation points, points where the character bends naturally. This is a balloony body because the limbs, the arms and the legs, they just look like noodles or balloons, right? They don't have articulation points. It's as if they don't have a skeleton underneath. Take a look at this leg, the way it just bends like that. Definitely a balloony body. So let's lightly sketch in. Remember, a light sketchy touch with your pencil to begin with. I'm actually going to do a little bit harder so that you'll be able to see on camera. Light and sketchy at first. And we're going to put in our face lines. This is a 3/4 side view character. That means that we see 3/4 of the face, and there's 1/4 of the face that we don't see. For example, where his other ear is. That's the part that we don't see. So this is a 3/4 side view face, and we put in the face lines like that. His eyes are up here. All right, let's sketch in the hat, which is going to be right around here and up, over, and in. I'm just going to put in a little suggestion of a brim right there. We'll go back to that later. The ears are going to be right here at the end of the hat, so let's sketch it in right here. It's a very basic letter C ear, just looks like a letter C. And then before we do anything else, let's get these eyes done. And these eyes are very unique to Peyo. If you look at the reference drawing, the eyes are fused. They're not two different circles for the eyes. It's as if it's all one piece, almost like a peanut shape. So we're going to draw in one eye right here. Also be careful not to go too severe with the angle going down over here on this eye. We don't want it to look like Papa Smurf has an angry face on, because he's never angry. And then the nose is going to go right here, and it's so big it goes off the edge of the circle. And then it goes back in. And it actually becomes the top of his beard. So it's all one line from here and down. Right? His sideburn, that tucks in under the hat. And then the other side of his beard is right here. I'm just going to sketch in just the basic area of his beard, and then I'm going to go in, and then I'm going to put in these little scalloped edges. Just gives it a look of that it's hair and a beard. Again, this is a very Peyo line. I always tell my students that it's actually a little bit difficult to draw something in someone else's style at first, especially if this is the first time you're drawing Papa Smurf. Don't get discouraged. We're drawing in Peyo's style. All right, let's put in his smile, and his smile just contours the top of his beard here. And I love this Peyo smile. Take a look at the way his mouth is. You would think that the mouth would start over here, but actually starts opposite. That's a very, again, unique to Peyo line. So sort of like a backwards facing mouth, and then a little suggestion of his tongue right there. Oh, before we move on, let's give him his pupils there and there. And we're gonna sketch in some eyebrows. Now the eyebrows, again, like Peyo, this is a very unique style to Peyo. The eyebrows actually float in between his head and his hat. All right, so let's start working on the body. Now, again, remember, this is a balloony body. All it really is sort of like a flower petal coming down the bottom of Papa Smurf, his head. And before we go into too much detail of the arms and the legs, we're just going to put in a line right here and a line right here. And that's going to tell us where the arms are going to go and exactly how big his hands are going to be. We do it this way with just some light lines right now, just in case we need to alter something later on. And then we're going to put in a line for his one leg going down this way, and then another leg going down this way. And if you look at the reference photo again, this leg goes right down straight from his torso in one smooth line. And then this leg has a bit more of a bend than this one. All right, and we're just going to put in, we're going to sketch in where his feet are going to go. These are my favorite kind of feet in the world to draw. If you're in my class, you'll know what kind of feet these are, what I call them. I actually call them loaf of bread feet, because they're so easy to draw. All they look like is just a loaf of bread at the bottom of the leg. Love them. They're the easiest ones to draw. All right, now that we have the basic shape of his body, now we can go back in and flesh it out a little bit. So we're going to make his arms a little bit thicker. Just going to put a line, just thickening out the arm like that. All right, and then we can sketch in his fingers. Now, again, this is very unique to Peo, the way he moves his fingers around. So we have like a thumb and a part of the palm of the hand, then one finger, two finger, then he draws more of the palm of the hand, and then a bent finger that goes up. This takes some practice. It took me a couple of times too to get it. That's okay. Don't forget, you're drawing in someone else's style. It's not going to be easy at first, especially if it's the first time you're drawing this character. All right, let's thicken this arm. And this thumb. Again, looks like a peanut, just like his eyes. His eyes were peanut-shaped. And we're going to draw a finger and the palm of the hand, another finger, and another finger. Sometimes you have to erase it a little bit just to get it where you want it. In fact, I'm going to erase a little bit over here just to make his the sizes of his hands match up a little bit better. And again, just stressing the importance of having a nice light touch at first, because you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. That's how you learn. All right. Now we can move down to his legs. We're actually almost done. Let's give him a nice, thicken those legs. And what's interesting, if we refer back to the reference drawing, look at how, remember, this is a 3/4 side view character. So his leg, we see the way this leg connects to the body on this side, but we don't see it on this side. The line goes right there. It actually cuts off where the leg connects to the body. That's because it's a 3/4 side view figure. So the lines of the legs go right into the loaf of bread feet. And then this side of the torso is all one line going right to this side of the leg. But this leg, we don't see it connecting to this side of the body, so it's just going to be coming out from the side. We're going to be inking this line later on, but I'll get into that once we start inking, which will be soon. All right, and then we just need his line for where his pants begin. Do it right about there. All right, and now we can start inking. Remember, I have a motto when it comes to inking. It's think before you ink. Because once you use this permanent marker, you're not going to be able to erase it if you make any mistakes. You really got to think about what lines you're keeping and what lines you're not keeping. For example, the big ones that we're not keeping is his face lines, because this is just going to tell us where those eyes and nose and the mouth went. We don't need that once we're ready to start inking, so that's going to go away. Also, if we take a look also at the reference picture, the line from his torso connecting his arm and his torso, we're not going to ink that either, so that's going to go away. And the lines we use for the basic structure of the character, we're also going to be not inking those in as well. So just pay attention to the lines that you're keeping and the ones that you're not keeping. And just ink along with me if you're having a little bit of difficulty with that. All right, let's get started. Let's start with his eyebrows. And then we can go into his eyes. Remember, try to keep that eye looking happy. Remember, it's all one piece. And in fact, his eye can go right into his nose. before we move on to everything else, let's do the ear and the hat. So we're going to start with the ear right here. The ear is tucked behind this part of the beard. You can ink that in if you like. Alright, and this is his sideburn. That's going to go behind the hat. And then we can start doing his hat. The part of the hat that connects in between the two eyebrows. And this part of his head. We can do the hat up and around. And the brim of his hat. And then that little line connecting those two pieces together. We can ink in his pupils. I'm actually going to leave a little bit of the white showing. It just emphasizes some of the gleam that could be in his eye. Also, I just want to show you a little something that, again, this is a very Peyo thing. If you take a look at the reference photo, look at the way he thickened the line, the black line at the bottom of the hat over here. That just emphasizes that there is space underneath that hat, or it created a bit of a shadow, so it looks like something can go underneath the hat. And we could add that in too. Just thicken it right here. And right around there. And if you want, you can just go right on in and just color that in. Okay. All right. Let's do the smile. And that little backwards mouth. I love that little backwards mouth. I wouldn't think of that. That's another thing that happens when you're drawing in someone else's style. You might come across a way of drawing something that you wouldn't even think of, and it looks really cool. I like that. All right, we're going to start inking in the body now. Did the thumb, fingers, palm, bent finger, a little bit more of the palm right there. And I'm going to be extending this line into the torso. That's just emphasizing the fact that the arm is connected to the torso. Remember, we're not inking this line here. All right, so we're just going to keep that away so it's all going to look like it's one piece. Now, with the leg, or the torso into the leg, it's going to be one long sweeping motion. All right. Again, extend that line into the foot. We could do that on this side too. And then ink in that loaf of bread. All right, ink in this part of the body. Remember, we're just connecting it all one piece. And the where the leg connects to this side of the body, we don't see, so we can ink that line in between. All right, same thing with this arm. Basically done, guys. But before we start coloring, we need to erase the original pencil lines. And remember, because we use the permanent marker, we can erase right over it, and it's not going to smudge. You can't do this with a watercolor like a Crayola marker. That's not going to work. That will smudge. But if you're using a permanent marker, it's not going to smudge. Okay, once you have those original pencil lines erased, you can leave it like this, or you could add in a little bit of color. You can use some of those watercolor markers. Again, you can, because we used the permanent marker before, you can color right over it and it won't smudge. And we're going to do the traditional Papa Smurf colors. He had a red hat and red pants, unlike the rest of the Smurfs that had white hats and white pants. Forget that tongue. you can color in with some Smurf blue. There you have it, Papa Smurf.